Hello and welcome to Crystal Experiences, a channel designed to help you enjoy more meaningful connections to the world of Mother Nature's crystals. This video has been created to help you use your crystal pendants more effectively than you may already be doing and discover how to boost your development even more with them. By this I mean personal and spiritual development, including building confidence in your intuitive senses. You may already have had an experience of a particular pendant whose energy from reading a book or holding it in your hand matched, well, exactly what you needed. But somehow it felt wrong when you were wearing it. This is to help you understand why. If you are new to crystal pendants, then you will get a chance to avoid beginner mistakes. And in both cases, the deeper you understand should also help you better sense your intuitive skills with less self-doubt. It has been created from personal and customer experiences of what went well and what went wrong with wearing crystal pendants. My name is Shamara, and I have been selling crystals for over 18 years, where I have shared stories and insights with hundreds of customers at markets and at our shops. I have a companion video on wearing crystal bracelets too. I'm not going to talk about selecting the right crystal itself in this video, except for a section called Buy Right for Your Energy Type. Picking the right crystal to wear for love or confidence or money and so on already has other videos, and I'll certainly be making some in the future. This one will, however, focus on insights related to the crystal that is being worn around the neck, such as a pendant or a metal setting, or a crystal with a drilled hole on a string, or a beaded necklace, or a tumble in a metal spiral, cotton or hemp basket necklace. And I will use the term pendant to cover all these forms of wearing a crystal, and I will talk about generic issues. And while I'm using the term use your intuition, guidance, sensing the energy, I do mean any intuitive sense that you may have already discovered did exist to at least some extent, and it provided helpful and accurate insights. You might be calling this gut feel, clairvoyance, which means you can see things, cognizance, where you just know things, clairaudience, where you hear things, and clairsentience, where you feel things. This video will cover things such as checking if your pendant is cleansed on all levels, positioning the pendant correctly, discovering how the pendant may be helping you directly or even indirectly, why you may not be attracted to certain crystal pendants for yourself even though you actually love them on other people, what to do if you receive or buy one that feels wrong in some way, how can you change the energy of the crystal pendant to be even better, what you should know about wearing multiple crystal jewelry at the same time, and what to do when you're facing a situational ban or you fear other people's judgments if you were to wear a crystal pendant. Does pendant size matter? Does pendant shape matter? Is there a style of pendant setting that's important? And does the colour of the pendant setting matter? It's a very long video. And being new to editing, I hope I inserted the chapters correctly via YouTube's software. I will also split it up into a series of short videos with the same information if you prefer to receive it in bite sizes versus a movie marathon. To begin, have you experienced the following? A pendant felt good to wear the last time you put it on, but now you sense something's wrong with it. It even causes you to feel sad, irritated, anxious, the exact opposite of what you want it to do for you. Let's start with the obvious. Is the energy of the pendant in a good state? Maybe the last time you wore it, it was during a difficult time. And that could have been yesterday, last week, a month ago, 5 years ago. Or you loaned it to someone to wear. And it's actually the first time you've worn it since then. What you could be feeling is all the energy that the pendant absorbed from you and from the environment. It's still stuck in the stone and in the metal surrounding. And yes, metals are crystals too. We often don't appreciate how much a crystal pendant is absorbing the negative and stale energy from you and from the environment around you. Therefore, What you are sensing is the energy that was absorbed but which you are no longer a match to. You can be pleased if you notice this, especially if you didn't realize that you were getting intuitive messages in that way. And remember, discovering your intuition will help you a lot in life. Practicing through what, where, why a particular pendant is to be worn is a great, safe way to build this sense. So, if your situation is that the pendant was good to wear previously, it feels right to wear today, but it feels wrong when you put it on, well, probably needs a basic cleanse and recharge. And if the jewelry is just metal like a silver chain, then you can use any cleansing method. Water and salt, smudge, Tibetan bowls, and so on. They'll all work. However, if you have a crystal pendant, so the crystal now needs to be considered. What type of stone is it? Is it soft and absorbent like opal or calcite? Should not be left to soak in water. Be especially careful with salty water. And if you want to put it in the moonlight, take care as the dew can accumulate on them. They'll usually be okay for a short time, but over time they may be affected. Some crystals like kunzite and labradorite will fade in the sun over time, so avoid using the sun to cleanse and charge those type. And remember, cleansing and recharging does happen naturally if you're wearing the pendant out in the sunshine anyway. Smudging seems to work for all stones, but it can be bad for the human. If you have young children, are asthmatic, have other lung or sinus sensitivities, don't do it. If you cannot create a safe place for a smouldering flame, don't do it. Another consideration to check for is the setting secure? Are there broken claws? Has it come loose from its setting in some way? A Tibetan bowl might worsen it, and also delicate stones may not like the vibration easy. Playing an Om chant to cleanse and recharge actually could be good if you like the sound. However, my top recommendation was channeled to me over and over in the shop for customers to buy a palm-sized amethyst cluster or larger, so that each night you can put your pendant on there. Pendants do need cleansing a lot more frequently than crystals on your desk. You've been wearing them all day. So now let's believe that you have done the cleansing, so it still feels wrong. Why? This typically occurs if you've not worn the pendant for, say, 6 months, even for some years, and in that time you have changed a lot. You may have stopped behaviours that had caused your emotional turmoil. You may have made significant changes in what you believe and what you think about. You may have moved away from a long-term negative situation and begun to be the real you. And so this is why the pendant cannot be so easily cleansed. The old you energy is still energetically, deeply entwined with that pendant's energy. This is why inheriting Grandma's beautiful pendant, you may not feel very good when you put it on. Even after a normal cleanse, it still sends you into thoughts, beliefs, fears, and other emotional states that you know are just not you. The pendant needs to be freed of this old stuck energy. To do the deeper cleanse, you will need Reiki, theta healing, or similar energy healing techniques. If you do not know these, then maybe you know someone who can do this deep cleanse for you. Later in the video, I will talk about bringing them with you to a healing session. Now, I want to talk to you about the situation where you know the crystal pendant is the right one. You know it is cleansed. But when you go to put it on, after 15 minutes or so, it's causing physical discomfort, even maybe making you sick in the stomach. Or maybe you notice it just doesn't seem to be working at all, but it did yesterday. The most common thing to check, believe it or not, is the length of the cord or the chain that you've put it on. And here's how I learned that the cord or chain length was important. A customer of mine was very excited to buy an orbicular jasper from my shop. It felt amazing in their hand, which they had been holding at their heart or just below it. But they came back in the next day saying they did not feel very well now that they were wearing it, and they had it on a short chain up here near their thyroid. So I tuned in and immediately received that the pendant was too high up, that the thyroid and the throat did not like the jasper. I asked the customer to remove the pendant, and she did comment that, wow, things felt better now that it was off. I intuited that the pendant actually wanted to hang below the heart chakra, and I offered her a longer chain, and she definitely now felt again the amazing energy she had enjoyed when she'd first held it the day before. Why did this happen? Jasper's natural energy is an earthy one. Look at how it formed. It was a sedimentary rock, which was then metamorphosized. This meant it has a very earthy energy, and an earthy energy actually is a denser energy. It was too overpowering for these lighter energies of the thyroid and throat chakras. However, once it was positioned at the heart and below, it was working with the lower chakras, which are also denser because they're closer to the earth. And this is what jaspers are best known for, creating you to drop into your lower chakras to ground your energy so you can connect to the heart of Mother Earth and feel her loving support. Even a pendant like amethyst, which can be worn above or below the heart chakra, needs to be in the right position on any day when you're intending to wear it. By placing it on a long chain down near the solar plexus, it will be able to cleanse, balance and expand your sense of self-worth and self-esteem, which is the reason for the anxiety. But if on another day you're experiencing anxiety through your thoughts and your beliefs about how you can't express yourself properly in front of others, then you need to have the pendant, well, at the solar plexus, it's not going to help you. In this case, placing it up here near your throat, up on a short chain, it's going to be able to get to work with the mental body. So take care when you're putting your pendant on for the day. Don't fall into the typical beginner's mode of just put it on automatically with the same chain you wore yesterday and the day before and the day before. Now that you're buying crystals, real crystals, for their help, you need to actually feel where to hang them. I too, as a beginner, experienced physical discomfort when wearing a new pendant at the wrong position. And here's my story. I was so excited by my first experiences of picking crystal pendants intuitively for myself. This included that I needed to buy a rhodonite pendant, and when I read what it was for, it was clearly the perfect helper to aid me move through feelings of vengeance I had at the time from being deeply hurt by family and by others. And this emotion prevents feeling of love and compassion, as the heart chakra size is being reduced by that emotion. So I proudly wore it for the first time to a workshop to deepen the psychic abilities of the group. As I sat there, I could feel I was getting hot, but I assumed it was the energy building in the room to improve the psychic connection. However, one woman and then another could see I was going red in the face. Being already intuitive, they asked, was I hot? And I said, yes. One of them then asked without hesitation, how long have you been wearing that pendant? I answered it was my very first time. The two immediately said, take it off now. And as I did so, I immediately started to cool down. Then I went into self-doubt. Had I picked wrongly? No, the pendant was perfect for me, so what had gone wrong? I had automatically put it on a short chain and had it up here at the thyroid because, hey, that looked really good with the clothes I was wearing. But the rhodonite pendant I had picked was very earthy in its energy. It was overwhelming this chakra. So my physical body was signaling the problem by overheating my face. Thankfully, others saw the message. And later, when I needed to wear the rhodonite again, I think it was even the very next day, I checked this time and received it needed to be worn down here at the heart. And in this position, it supported me beautifully from then on. And here is another thought. If you can't tell that your pendant is hanging in the wrong place because you were too focused in the morning on current activities and not open to receiving your intuitive messages, then trust that your physical body's own innate consciousness will kick in to do its best to get the message through to you. It will create some kind of discomfort to get you to instinctively take it off, like it did for me. A similar message will be sent by your body's consciousness when you're wearing a pendant that needs to be removed now because, well, its work is done for the day. You'll find that you will start to fiddle with it in a way that's not calming. It's a sign that your hands are actually trying to get you to take it off. By coming off, it allows any other crystals that you already have on you to go even deeper in their assistance to you. So let's summarize these very important insights so far. If you're going to be wearing pendants effectively, first, check you have intuited the right crystal pendant. Then sense if the crystal is cleansed and ready to be worn. And next, move the pendant up and down your chest to intuit the position it wants to be worn at. You can probably understand that sticking rigidly to fashion requirements, such as placing the pendant on a choker because it's the in thing to do, can mean you therefore won't receive benefit from wearing it, or you will get this discomfort. If you're going to be wearing crystal pendants for their energetic reasons, then fashion choice isn't going to work. It will have to be an intuitive one. And don't worry, sometimes they both match up. Here is one final unexpected reason why sometimes a crystal pendant needs to be worn and why it needs to hang in a particular position. I will call it the indirect reason you're wearing it. And that reason is because the people around you need to see it too. They have an energetic imbalance, and to help you deal with them, they need to be helped as well as you by the pendant. I first channeled this information when I found myself intuiting blue lace agate pendants for customers. This is a crystal I noticed that 80% of the time was being intuited for naturally empathic, feminine people who, a person who was having trouble being heard by someone at work or in the family. The person who wasn't listening had a strong personality that overwhelmed this gentler soul and didn't listen to them. This crystal was directly aiding the customer by creating the courage within for them to speak up with their knowledge, their wisdom, their needs, their opinions, despite the overwhelm, and to do it from a natural, gentle expression. I would receive that they needed to wear the pendant so that the stronger personality saw it too. And I said, why? Well, the reason being that person would see the pendant and take in the beautiful, soft blue and white energy through their eyes, which would calm them, cool them down. And this would help settle their energies and move them out of the mind's inner judgments. And as it did its work, that person began to listen to this one. So many customers did report back that the blue lace agate had dramatically improved the quality of the communication between the two. They were delighted that they had spoken up and that they had been listened to properly. And this is only one of many stories about how wearing crystals has helped someone indirectly. There have been so many stories of customers with experiences about how they wore this pendant, and it created an unexpectedly lovely connection in others. So have that chance around colleagues and friends and family to watch them respond to these wonders of nature. Just by them admiring your pendant, they already start to ground their energies and their mind moves into positivity. That is helping them indirectly, and that helps you. So hey, let the pendants shine. And if you're not happy wearing the pendant with your current outfit, well, hide it under your top. It still will work for you. Now, you may be asking yourself, what if I cannot get the pendant to the right place against my body? Here are some suggestions. If you need to get the energy up into the third eye or the crown, you could place it at the throat and ask it to send the energy upwards. However, I have had customers who used hairpins to hold the pendant in place and ponytails and things. If you need to get the energy down into the solar plexus sacral base, then either get a hemp necklace with a very long cord or hang it off your bra. Also, you could perhaps use a safety pin. Just be careful to keep yourself safe. If you have a beaded necklace, insert a bracelet, and that will help drop it down to a lower level. So now let's talk about wearing the right pendant for you. Have you found yourself loving a pendant that your friend is wearing, but you go to buy one for yourself and it feels wrong? Or maybe social media says, you must buy turquoise. It's the best thing for strengthening your communication. And you think, yes, that's exactly what I need help with. So you buy one online, say, and when it arrives, you notice that you're not enjoying wearing it. You may not even be attracted to it at all. Or there is an uncomfortable feeling holding it. This may have nothing to do with where you bought it from or the crystal's energy. What it could have to do with is the crystal right for you? Is it right for your energy field? Is it right for your needs? For some years, I watched friends come in together, both planning to buy the same crystal pendant because they had the same need for one. Yet they bought different ones. For example, both wanted help with mental anxiety, yet one would clearly need a plain coloured amethyst pendant and their friend needed the layered form called chevron amethyst. I too have intuited that if help was wanted with building self-esteem and self-worth, for one person it had to be citrine, and yet for their friend it was definitely golden quartz. So I felt there had to be a hidden reason, and as I started to receive insights about the matter, I would then check with customers to get a verification about what I was channeling. So what could be the reason for this different selection of crystals for the same reason and even in the same colour? The two friends had different natural energies. So here's a rule of thumb for you. What is your astrological star sign? Especially, what's your main house? Are you an Aquarian, an air sign? Are you a Leo, a fire sign? What I had been noticing was that I was intuiting for people, or what they were being drawn to, was actually aligned to their astrological star sign. It was not always a match. Sometimes someone could have a water sign as their main sign, but their other 11 astrological houses were actually sitting in earth and fire. But, you know, this rule of thumb didn't match up for them, and that's okay. So let's look at the typical situation. Two friends want help with stress and anxiety coming from their thoughts and beliefs. If one friend was strong in water elements like a Piscean, they would typically need transparent stones that look like water, such as a plain purple amethyst pendant, to get the right energy. The other friend was, say, strong in earth energies like a Capricorn. They would tend to need an opaque stone, one that looked earthy. So for them, they would often get lepidolite or chevron amethyst pendants as the ones to benefit them. So therefore, maybe you love that rose quartz pendant on your friend who is an air sign of Libra, but you're the fire sign of Aries, and don't be surprised if you actually want rhodonite. So be aware though that clear crystal pendants like selenite and clear quartz usually work across all star signs. Authors of crystal books like Judy Hall and others often list which crystals match better to which star signs. Again, it's not a rule of thumb for the rest of your life either. You do create modifications in your overall natural energy as you move through the major stages of your spiritual development. I'm an earth sign, so for many years I needed chevron amethyst as a pendant, as a bracelet. It was a marvellous stone for calming my overly busy mind. It helped me ground my energies back instead of living up here in my mental field. And it would support me through releasing my bewilderment about how my life had gone so wrong, as well as the accompanying emotional pain it was cleansing away. However, in the past year, I've resolved so much of what had created the drama in my mind and in my emotional body. I am more at peace with my life, staying more naturally grounded and with an open heart most of the time. So now I've found that it's time to wear purple only amethyst pendant. For me, this pendant is offering me its higher frequency assistance, creating a more permanent connection to source energy for me. And this reminds me, sometimes you're guided to buy a pendant years before you need it. Why? Because this may be the only time that you can buy that unusual shape or unusual shade of colour, or the person who created the pendant's energy actually will be a key factor in lifting you to a future potential. And an example of this was I bought a shaman's beautiful rose quartz pendant in a silver design when I visited Machu Picchu 18 years ago. It's not been worn. I keep checking to see if I should sell it. Maybe I had unknowingly bought it for someone else and it's their time to get it now. But I keep getting no. It will be important to my energetic development sometime in the future. For this next section, I will chat about 3 situations you may have experienced or may experience. A pendant that is energetically dead, one that saps your energy, and one that overwhelms your energy. So, have you bought a pendant online and when you arrive that it feels energetically dead to you? You can't feel any life force from the crystal. Sorry, but the probable reason is that the crystal pendant you are holding is a fake. And I'm going to do a whole other series to deal with this ever-increasing issue of man-created pendants being sold as real crystals. And unfortunately, it is no longer just expensive crystals being faked, but even amethyst and rose quartz and green aventurine can prove to be glass or plastic. If you can't return it, do think about gifting it to a friend who doesn't care about real or man-made, or donate it to a charity shop. Don't throw it in the bin. So here is the second situation you may have found yourself in where the energy of the pendant was just wrong. Maybe it was a pendant given to you by someone who you know had good and pure intention, but your energy is being sapped, or you bought the pendant and now you can't return it. You know the pendant is energetically cleansed. That definitely isn't the problem. Can you still wear it? Yes, absolutely. And here's the story of when it happened to me and how my guidance solved the problem. I was given a beautiful pearl hanging from an amazing silver necklace by a friend who had a lovely energy. He had just begun making quality jewellery. I felt it was too expensive and told him there was no need to give me anything. He insisted that I accept it. I put it on. I loved it, but immediately noticed that my heart energy was being sapped by the pearl. I took it off and again said it was too much to receive as my heart recovered from the experience. But this time his wife insisted with him that they wanted me to have it, and I could see they'd be offended if I kept refusing. It was a gorgeous piece. So I quietly went in my space and asked guidance, what should I do? They advised me to stop insisting on handing it back, as my friend was so excited to be giving it to me. My guidance had a solution. They'll tell me later. And once I got home, I channeled the following. If you own a pendant already that is fabulous at expanding your energy, particularly at the spot where you could feel the closing, then use it to counter that problem. For me, I had a pendant that was fabulous at expanding my heart energy. So I hid that under my clothes when I wore the wonderful pearl necklace. And now I have always been able to happily wear this necklace and enjoy the wonderful memories of this friendship with my friend. And the third energy situation you may have found yourself in with a crystal pendant is where you've had an experience of becoming very uncomfortable with the pendant, such as feeling dizzy or ill. It's as if your energy field is being overpowered. Now, you know the crystal is the right one. You know it's cleansed. You know you're wearing it in the right position. Could this be the case that you've chosen to wear a powerful crystal like a meteorite, moldavite, or euclase? And therefore, what you're feeling is that you're receiving too much energy for your current level of development in your energy bodies, in your chakras. There are 2 ways you can solve this. I once heard about a crystal advisor who recommended that people stay in that strong discomfort even feeling so much emotional stuff coming up that it was just too much, because it would create fast transformational. Okay, that's a strategy, but it's not one that I feel is right to experience for myself or for you. It does not feel right to go through being dizzy and sick and overwhelmed by the emotions being dragged up quickly from their hidden depths to the surface for releasing. To me, the emotional and mental and physical bodies are just saying, not so fast, please. I discussed it with other crystal intuits and we agreed that listening to the body was important. And so we recommend letting the pendant do its magic, but in gentler stages of getting used to it. Again, check with your own guidance as to the better approach for you. I had this experience with my real Moldavite pendant, and unfortunately in this day and age there are more fakes than you can poke a stick at. I could only wear mine for 10 minutes for say a week, and then half an hour, and then an hour. Over the weeks my energy transformed, it uplifted, and now I happily wear it all day. And I experienced a beautiful path of change that didn't overwhelm me, including opening my heart as it transmuted all the heartache from past lives, from this life, from generics, and genetic lifetimes. And it was marvellous. Now, I have had interesting experiences with customers with crystals that weren't even powerful, but again, there was obviously a mismatch. Their energy field had such a block around something that even stones like Tiger's Eye and Howlite, which were going to break through the blocks, were just too much, and it was caused them dizziness. Some chose to buy the crystal and have the experience go through whatever that breakthrough was going to be. Others chose not to buy it. Remember, your crystals are working at all those different levels, from the physical all the way up to the spiritual. So it could be any of those levels where the block really is solid, and that's where the discomfort is. If you've had a similar situation, please leave a comment in the video's comments area. It'd be interesting to read, and also include what happened, how you improved it. Have you ever wondered about how you can change the energy of a crystal pendant to be even better than when you bought it? An alternate name for these energetic upgrades is blessings or activations. And this can occur when you're attending events featuring a spiritual guru, say from India, Tibet, Rome, for example. But there are also those people who are far easier to access, those whose talents lie in channeling high frequency while assisting you one-on-one or in a workshop. The person you may feel guided to might be called a psychic reader, a holistic counsellor, a spiritual healer, or a teacher. There are many titles they may use, but you do need to sense if they're the right person for you. It is not just a random pick at the psychic fair. In the past, I used to do one-on-one energy healings for customers where I would channel high frequency in a room of crystals. This involved a healing team of guides, including souls, highest selves, archangels, ascended masters, teams from all over the galaxy, depending on the customer. And they would arrive to assist with the session. Sometimes at the time of booking, my soul was already requesting that my client would bring some crystal jewelry to the healing. And once the session began, the team and the room's crystals would ensure that they received a deep cleansing and a recharge of their energies. Why? Well, that way the customer's old energy was removed, and so the jewelry was revitalized to help them later after the session. But sometimes the team knew that the client was ready for a major shift in the energy, and it would be too much to do in the one session. It would be too intense. It could blow their nervous system. So they wanted to do it safely and completely, and therefore they would imbue the crystal jewelry with that new energy too. And that way the client was able to get the ongoing transformational energies in the coming days and weeks. So how about checking in with your guidance the next time you're going to a healing or in a workshop and discover if this is a great opportunity for a deep cleanse and transition of your crystal jewelry too. This next section will cover insights about wearing pendants that are, say, made of multiple layers. They're different crystals all set in the one pendant, or just wearing multiple jewelry all at the one time. Let's talk first about a pendant that's made of lots of different crystal types and whether this really is a very good idea. So for this layered chakra pendant, we'll use it as an example. If you've been working with crystals for a while, you will be able to guess that this type of pendant is not as energetically effective as having just the one right crystal being worn at the right position at the right time. And I'm thinking, as you imagine this, I really was never guided to buy these multi pendants. Of course, there are exceptions, and so hold on, I'll talk about it later. If you look at this particular pendant, there are 7 different energies, each trying to give their own unique assistance. And so it's really a competition of crystal energies that leads to little assistance happening at all. But I do sell them. Yes, mostly to people who like the look of them, but are not yet believers in crystal assistance. Also to beginners who have a tight budget. And I will occasionally intuit them for people who are very much taking in energy through their eyes rather than feeling it. And if it's you, this transfer actually helps. So each time you put it on, each time you're looking in a mirror, each time you're looking at it, you're going to be picking up that energy. On the basic level of assistance, you are reminded how creative Mother Nature is. And just that thought takes you out of some negativity and starts to help you ground back into the body. And if it's bright and cheerful, it helps you become bright, cheerful and positive. On the next layer of resistance, you are unintentionally actually channeling each colour down in through your chakras to help them rebalance. And if you intentionally channel each colour through you from top to bottom, as though you're under a waterfall of that particular colour, it'll do a wonderful job of cleansing, balancing and opening. And please, your energy field needs all colours. Unfortunately, the West has dumbed down the original Eastern teachings and says that each chakra is only one colour. No. A chakra which only gets yellow, such as your solar plexus, can end up becoming very unbalanced. Your chakras need all the nutrients of all the colours. Now, if you're someone who does feel energy, you're not going to get much out of this. You'll notice that in about the only time you'll get an energetic hit is because you actually have to buy it for someone else. Now, I have been around pendants or necklaces, beads, where they were made by jewellery making intuits, and they did create powerful pieces. The creators did know which crystals to combine, how to combine them, how to weave the energies together, while imbuing a specific spiritual purpose into their creations. If you are wanting to save money by buying one pendant with several crystal types, or you like the look of them, well, please consider this next comment. When you're buying a combination pendant, such as say one with amethyst and peridot and moonstone, you actually are going to limit your opportunities for help further down the line. If you buy them actually as 3 separate pendants, then on one day you could be guided to wear, all 3 and strengthen your feminine energies. When you may be too many tasks, that's all you're doing, so task, so just to get the flow going. However, there could be another day that your guides know you'll be triggered into emotional pain, and the peridot is going to help you release that pain, help you release the sorrow and come into acceptance. And maybe on the 3rd day, you get told, well, actually, we'd like to see the amethyst being worn with the selenite you wear, because it's actually a good day to hone in and get you to really start doing better connection and hone in on getting insights. As the final part of this section, talk about when you're wearing earrings and bracelets and pendants and things in your pockets. Is this a good idea to wear them all at once? Well, from my many years of intuiting for myself and for customers, I definitely saw a pattern of what went well and what was underwhelming and what was overwhelming, even to the point of creating someone to feel ill. And it usually came from people wearing too many all at once. And this is a mistake commonly made by beginners. It happens because a beginner wants everything fixed now. They want a pendant for every situation that needs fixing, and you just have to realize that's your ego kicking in. It's drowning out any message that your intuition's trying to pass through. So take it from a person who's been there, done that. If you're trying to work on too many things all at once, it's going to create a situation where actually nothing gets fixed, you can't focus on anything properly, and you start to go into doubt about spiritual development. So you might be tired of hearing this, but there is a timing to what needs to be resolved when. So you really, really are better to follow the signs that you get through your guidance. They know the timing. For example, it might be that on Monday your guidance knows that you're likely to get your button pushed when your mother phones you to complain about something you did or you didn't do and make you feel ashamed and guilty. That morning, it will guide you to wear, say, a morganite or green aventurine pendant and one of your black pendants for protection. The green crystals will help you stay strong in the face of her unfair comments and also help you to see that this is actually a family pattern. It's how her mother talked to her and her mother's mother talked to her mother. It's a learned behaviour. Now, it doesn't feel so personal and you actually have a hope to change it. It's likely a first step that you'll actually intuit is to find yourself a personal therapist or coach to actually help you break the pattern. And on Wednesday and say Friday, you're suddenly guided to wear two protection pendants and say one is a tourmaline and the other is obsidian. This is because your guidance knows the odds are that you're going to be around a manipulative, overwhelming and or bossy person on those days. And these pendants will help you to ground and not collapse when you're facing this adversity, help you clean up all the negativity, that then forms within you when being triggered. And it will then help you look at behind the drama, see what's really going on between you and that person and what you could do to unravel it. Well, at least a bit of it. And you might also find that you had to wear your fluorite bracelet because, hey, your energy is going to be drained. The fluorite needs to help buck your energy up. Then you find on Saturday and Sunday that you have to wear your golden quartz pendant, your selenite pendant, as well as an amethyst bracelet. And why? Guidance knows you're going to be having easy at home days, great days to reflect on why you doubt yourself. Why do you think you're not worthy? And they can drop in ideas to help you build your self-esteem as you remember just how many tasks and interactions with others that you're good at. So I hope you get the picture. Now, I have a rule of thumb that has served me and others very well. Avoid putting on more than 4 different crystal types at one time. I don't mean wearing apatite earrings, apatite pendant, apatite bracelets, apatite in the pocket. It's all the same crystal, so that's a count of 1, so there's no problem. What I mean is, say, wearing a rose quartz pendant, a peridot earrings, a rhodonite, citrine and aventurine bracelet, and then you also put labradorite in your pocket. The rough rule of thumb is to wear preferably just 1, 2 or 3 crystal types at a time. If you've suddenly found you've got 4 different types, double check with your guidance. And if you find you have a situation where you're getting told you have to wear 5 crystals, double check and ask the words, but do I need to wear them all right now? And what is likely to be revealed is your guidance knows you're going out to work and you're not going to be coming home first. So that's why you're getting 5 crystals. Right now, you only need to wear 3 of them. After work, you're to swap some or all of the crystals, take them all off, and they will support you to then through the evening activities by putting on the other 2. Why? After work, you're interacting with a different set of people, so you need a different set of crystals. And therefore, on a side note, always have a velveteen bag in your handbag or in your pocket so you can store that jewellery safely and swap it during the day as you need to. I have ruined jewellery when it ended up at the bottom of my handbag. I forget it's there, I've thrown something else on top and it's bent it out of shape. And I've also left the lighter ones in my pocket. Again, forgotten they were there. They've ended up in the washing cycle and they might look nice and clean, but they ended up in pieces. Let's now move on to the discussion of how to enjoy the benefits of your crystal pendant, but the environment has rules about wearing them. This includes bans, judgments by others, and fashion. By the word ban, I mean the rules that limit your ability to wear jewellery at school or at work. And I'm not saying you should ignore the rules. There's a reason. The ban about pendants could exist to protect you from physical or mental harm. To illustrate this, look at what happened during discussions I had with nurses over many years. They often could not openly wear their jewellery. And if you think about it, The hospital was wanting to protect the staff from perhaps being accidentally strangled by someone who grabs the necklace when they're having a mental breakdown. The nurses and I found alternative places to hide them. One was to hide them in their bra. Another was to place them inside internal pockets. Some of them just added it to their uniforms. Once work was over, out could come the jewellery and it could be worn properly. And at schools, especially junior grades, there can be jewellery bans too. Why? The rules probably exist to protect a child from playground injuries when they fall on the jewellery, to protect the child from being upset if the jewellery gets lost or stolen at school, and to reduce the chance of the child being the focus of a jealous bully. Yeah, we had some customers tell us that. Here's how mothers came up with solutions. First, if the school allowed religious symbols like a Christian cross, they would see if they could get it as a crystal. Some created hidden pockets in their children's school clothes, but please look to check that if the child falls over onto that crystal, will it injure them? Others ensured that the crystal pendant was kept in the car once the kid got out to go to school, and when they came back into the car, well, they could put them on and start feeling the healing help straight away. Maybe you believe that in your workplace, having crystals on your desk could lead to some rather unpleasant comments by others. And a pendant then can be the easiest way of sneaking the crystalline help in. It's very hard for most employers to argue that you can't wear a pendant. And maybe you should buy those that maybe are a little smaller size so that critics are less likely to notice it. Or you can hide the pendant under a top with a high neckline or a jumper. And remember, you just don't talk about the crystalline energies while you're in this workplace, but you can enjoy knowing that you have a secret little helper getting on with its task of helping you and helping others directly and indirectly. Also be aware that the possibility may exist that your fear of being judged, it doesn't exist. It's not actually a reality. I bought crystals to a dental association where I was employed many years ago. The CEO was a bit concerned about them, as well as my chatter about dream interpretation when I was helping one of my colleagues who thought that their dream about drowning was predictive and so was worried about their upcoming holiday. No, it wasn't. It was purely symbolic. However, the rest of the staff loved seeing nature's creations as I wore it, and those are also on my desk. And thirdly, do you feel that there's a conflict between what you're guided to wear and what the fashion magazines and social media say are the trends? Maybe your intuition, what it says, it means you've got a pendant the wrong shape, the wrong chain length, the wrong crystal type. It's just not going to be acceptable. Well, that really just becomes whether you prefer to follow fashion rules or you want your crystal pendants to help you in the best way possible. And you might also find it easier to pick the crystals to wear before picking your clothes. It actually often can work out really well that way. Now, finally, your question as to whether size, shape and setting matters. The quick answer is they do, sometimes. So let's talk about, does pendant size matter? If the pendant is intuited as being needed to only assist you and not indirectly assist other people, then a small pendant will be fine. It might take a little longer to work, but they sit beautifully against your skin for hours on end, and they will work well as long as they're hanging at the best position. Remember that discussion from earlier? Now, you also could be guided to a larger piece because guidance knows it wants to help you directly, but also the energy of everyone around you. Again, I had quite a chat about direct and indirect assistance by crystals earlier. Sometimes you might need a pendant that's larger than normal because your guidance has a specific message for you. For example, it could be that you do need to see the value in you, and that guidance noticed that you kept buying smaller pendants than you really wanted, and that was actually reinforcing the idea inside you that you're not good enough to have what you want. So guidance will try to use the size of the pendant so that you can finally affirm, hey, I really deserve this, and doesn't it look wonderful? Your guidance is fully aware of the situation of your finances, and they can guide you as to really what is important to spend your money and what isn't. Maybe you'll feel the nudge to stop buying a $15 lunch every day and to bring it in from home. Then you have the funds to get that pendant that will last you a lifetime. And finally, you can sometimes get away with a smaller pendant because actually it's shape. Certain shapes are very effective at channeling energy into the areas you need. This is particularly well known for the double terminated pendants. I have had many experiences of wearing them and noticing that they do get to work a lot faster than a round pendant might. So let's move on then to a full discussion of, does a pendant shape matter? Have you been frustrated sometimes that even though you have a certain crystal as a bracelet, even as a pendant, you are getting guided to buy that crystal again as another pendant? Did you wonder why? Well, first, check if it's your intuition from guidance letting you know it's time to wear the pendant you already have. You haven't been getting the message. Or two, if it's a no, then maybe you bought it for someone else. If it's a no, then the third reason could be you actually need that shape, because the shape and the crystal together may offer twice the ability of that pendant to help you in certain situations. And I'm going to first cover the six-pointed star shape known as the hexagram. It will illustrate why all sacred geometries, including flower of life and even the simple circle, hold their own specialness. First of all, if you're worried about religious symbolism, I did look it up on Wikipedia, and it said, the hexagram, being inherently simple geometric construction, has been used in various motifs throughout human history, which were not exclusively religious. So relax. Its representation in most crystal jewellery is dumbed down to look like this. As you can see, the hexagon is made up of two triangles. One triangle points up and the other triangle points down. This has made it a really lovely visual aid to remember several ideas when you're wearing it. Firstly, the upward triangle represents, say, the sacred masculine energy, and the downward triangle represents the sacred feminine energy. And hopefully you can see how it is a graphical representation of certain parts of the male and female anatomy. In this shape, it's the two becoming one, and this can be very important if you tend to be, say, a person who only works in your masculine energy and you're rejecting your feminine, or vice versa. And so the symbolism is trying to remind you that you are whole when you bring both parts of yourself together. Some people might also find it a helpful visual aid for attracting their life partner, and I'm not talking about heterosexual, I'm talking about your energetic partner. Another important representation of this downward triangle is where it represents bringing the energies from above down to you, who is represented as being by the bottom triangle as reaching up to connect. Or the upwards pointing triangle could represent Mother Earth's energy being sent up to you and you reaching down to connecting to the love of Mother Earth. This is reminding you that she is a truly wonderful, supportive and vibrant energy, and to ground yourself more in her assistance. Maybe you're guided to buy an animal pendant. Animals can often be a great shape to wear for extra assistance. For example, you may feel drawn to buy an eagle pendant because the eagle reminds in you that it does not hesitate to get what it needs. It knows it's a natural thing for it to do, and it flies around as master of the air. And these insights remind you through your day to be the master of your life and not the follower of someone else's life. A crystal owl pendant, which in society represents the wisdom, so the wise owl, could remind you to check in through the day as to whether all that lovely knowledge you have been collecting is being purely shared with others as facts and opinions, to actually transform it into wisdom. There would be times when I intuited that someone needed a more structural pendant, where the shape was, say, a triangle, a square, a rectangle, even a faceted pendant, rather than a rounded one. Why? Because it was to be that person's reminder to create more structure in their life so they could bring more success into it. One customer was needing to buy a rose quartz pendant, which is a very feminine stone, to a square setting, and that was to remind them that they were lovable. Their angels were around to support them. Please receive in more energy into that lovely natural flowing energy. But also add some structure to your activities because your life will be even better. Similarly, I would be guided to a message that a round, oval, even organic shaped pendant would be a visual reminder that getting into action and taking the lead was great, but were you feeling into whether that action had a flow to it? Because if it flowed, the results would be even better. Look, I could go on and on about this area. Hopefully you get the idea and you can do your own research. Just one final point, that the shape is sometimes more important than the crystal, and sometimes the crystal is more important than the shape. And a crystal store cannot have every shape and every type, financial reason, but also they just might not be able to find them. This could be a reason why you need to buy a crystal in one shape, but then you need to buy perhaps a shape in a plain silver, shape, and you just have to wear them together. Now, for example, had to buy a gold flower of life, but I wear it often with a clear quartz pendant to give me that extra connection to help. So, does the pendant's setting matter? Probably the least often thing I needed to guide customers to. So, should you buy a pendant in a claw setting? That usually was just a practical consideration. If you're going to wear knit open weave tops, don't buy the claw because it's not a good idea. You'll catch the pendant on your outfit, you'll damage the clothes, and you'll probably end up damaging the claws and the crystal falls out. Energetically, occasionally I would need someone to remember to be reminded that they needed to reach out and grab what they needed, or it was really important for them to hold to something that's important for them, even in the face of opposition. What was important was not to buy a setting with a closed-in back. Initially, this advice had been given to me by experienced crystal intuits when I was a beginner. Over time, it also became obvious that my guidance was guiding me away from pendants that had closed-in backs. Initially, when I was first intuiting, I wasn't very good at believing I was actually getting my messages correctly. So if I got a no energy from my intuition, but I was thinking, oh, but the crystal's so pretty and I want it, I would buy it. These pendants then ended up sitting on the shelf for a very long time, being looked but then rejected by those who worked with energy, who could see, I could see they were ready to buy them, but as soon as they flipped over the back and they felt the energy from the back, they put them back on the shelf. My crystal team's guidance is that a pendant on a closed back setting means the crystal energy is only going forwards from the physical body. So it can help the emotional and mental fields, the spiritual fields, but the physical and etheric fields, which are to the side and towards the back, can't receive the energy very well. And when a crystal wants to help you, it wants to help you at all levels. If you've had an issue for a while and it's been sitting in all of your energy bodies, don't you want all of those energy bodies to be helped? A crystal against the skin helps the energy get more effectively into the etheric and into the physical too. And now let me touch quickly on the need sometimes for you to wear a particular coloured pendant setting or chain or cord. There have been times that a customer needed to, say, buy a brown cord because the brown would help them think about putting their roots down properly into the earth's energy. If a customer needed more sun energy, which is also considered the action energy, the growth energy, a throw the light on it energy, the masculine energy, they could be guided to a setting or a chain in a gold colour, even if they normally bought silver. And it would be funny, sometimes they would say, hey, that's funny, I had a feeling I needed gold around me. I thought I was imagining it. However, it can be quite expensive to buy gold pendants, and because of this, they can also be very hard to find in crystal shops, and jewellery stores rule they only have a limited range of crystals. So the solution often will be to buy a gold coloured chain. Just wear it with your silver pendant and that's okay, it doesn't have to match. And of course, there's a vice versa to this. A silver coloured setting or chain would be intuited if the customer needed more lunar or moon energy, which is known as the reflective energy, the flowing energy, and the feminine energy. So, as I wind up this video, one final insight. Your guidance will always consider your preferences too. If you like large and there's no strong reason for a smaller one, then you may have a pendant in 2 sizes and you'll get a yes energy to both. If you happen to love heart pendants and you get guided to a tear-shaped one but yet both feel energetically good, then buy the one you like. You always have the final choice. My name is Shamara, creating videos to help you enjoy your crystals more. I really do hope that this one has made you more confident about how to effectively wear your pendants while avoiding some, beginner mistakes. Don't forget to build your intuition by practicing the simple everyday task of selecting what to wear, which position to wear it in, is it clean? And remember, the more you allow in the help of your crystal friends through practice and by releasing any old beliefs you have about the loving of assistance of crystals is wrong, then the quicker you can feel them getting to work for you. If you've enjoyed this video, you know the drill. Please like, share and subscribe. Comments are beneficial to me and other viewers, especially if you've had a similar experience to those that I've mentioned. Add them to the comments.